Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Kelly, and welcome back to Talk of the Town. We went on a road trip for this episode, and we're down in Medfield, Massachusetts, and we're visiting a company called the Electric Time?
Electric Time Company.
Electric Time Company. I'm here with Brandy Morris. Welcome, Brandy.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Medfield and to Electric Time.
And we're here with Emma Jean Moulton. Emma Jean, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian.
Now, the reason we're here is really because of Emma Jean. Emma Jean being a member of the 350th Committee, when ideas were being floated about what we could do as a gift to the town, Emma Jean, I don't know if she brought it up originally, but the idea of a clock in the town came up, and Emma Jean just focused on that and worked very diligently on that. And because of that, the committee eventually agreed with Emma Jean that it would be a great purchase for the town. And so we're down here because we got notification that the clocks were almost ready. And Emma Jean, how many clocks did we order for Milton?
We have 2 street clocks.
2 street clocks. Okay, so we're here with Brandy Morris, and she's going to tell us a little about the Electric Time Company. Then we're going to take a walk through the factory here and see how the clock's coming and how these clocks are made. So you stay tuned, folks, because this is a great show. So Brandy, tell us a little bit of the history of Electric Time.
Well, Electric Time is a tower and street clock manufacturer. We do all of our design and manufacturing here in Medfield.
Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts, unusual to have a Massachusetts manufacturing firm. We grew out of Telecron, which was an Ashland, Massachusetts firm, back in the early 1900s. So the company's been around for 80 plus years.
What did they call the high school team?
The high school team is still called the Clockers in Ashland. Telecron is no longer, but we've carried that on, and Electric Time has been manufacturing clocks since the 20s.
And now, how did they come up with the name Electric Time?
Well, Electric Time was the original name for Eastern Standard Time.
So wait a minute. So this all evolves around Eastern Standard Time. This came about. Well,
Correct.
How did that happen?
That was the original name, and they picked it up. We make electric clocks only, so Electric Time seemed a natural name.
But you said something to me about the one of the original. You made clocks originally for the power plants or something.
Correct.
So give me that link again. Tell me that story.
Henry Warren of Telecron was a brilliant engineer, and he actually made time equipment for the electric power plants. The sine wave, which is our logo, is the basis for keeping time. And it became our name, Electric Time.
Okay, man, oh man, folks. See, you just stay tuned with Milton Access Television. You're going to learn all the great tidbits of the world here. So here we are now. We're just at the entryway to Electric Time in Medfield. And what do we have on the table here?
Well, we've collected. Thank you. We've collected Telecron clocks. This is part of our collection. Some old schoolhouse type clocks you might recognize. Some of these are earlier than others. But one of the patents that Henry Warren held was this little dot, which you'll see on the face of some of these clocks, has a little red dot if the power goes off. And that way you could tell if you'd lost power overnight, the little red dot would show, and you'd reset the clock, and the little white dot would show once you reset it. So it was an early way to tell that the power had gone out. Instead of your digital clock blinking at you, you had a little red dot.
Did you catch that, Mike? Did you see a little red dot? And so, has Electric Time ever made clocks that weren't powered by electricity?
We have done restoration work on manual or different mechanical clock movements. Yes, so we do some work on them, but our main business and focus has been electric clock movements.
And in Milton, at one of the historical churches, the First Parish Church, Emma Jean is the organist, and she, right behind where she sits, she has to open up the door and she has to wind the clock, and that clock is from the 1700s. Mm-hmm. And it has a large weight, so you pull the weight up, and then when it gets to the end, time to crank it up again. How long does that last? About a week?
It's a week clock. Yep.
Right, so you have an 8-day movement, probably.
That's right.
Is that what's called? It's called an 8-day movement. Very good.
It's a
All
clock
right.
education you'll have here.
I love it. Okay, Eastern Standard Time. Now we got an 8-day movement. Okay, and well, we're ready to take a look around. So
Excellent, let's go take a walk in the shop.
thank you.
So I've brought Brian and Emma Jean into engineering, and this is where all the magic starts to happen. The design work is done in here, the job orders out to the shop, some of our computer-generated equipment, the programs are written here, purchasing is done in here. It's a very busy place. Each cubicle has an engineer, and what you see around are paint testing samples.
Oh, that's what these are here.
Those are paint test samples. We do long-term tests of all of our paints, different weather conditions. We want to make sure everything will hold up outdoors. We manufacture miniature clocks. That's a miniature of a 4-dial post clock, very similar to what you will see later on in Milton. We also have different glass samples, metal samples, hands, numbers, you name it. It's all here.
So in Milton, we decided to have the forest green color, and is that the one on the left here? That must be the color on the left. Forest green,
Correct.
and let's see.
Emma Jean, right here.
Forest green. There it is. There it is. And then we also here is the design which we chose.
Better show that too.
So the drawing was actually done right here in engineering. So this is where it would have started. They do all the design work here. So this is a 2-dial version. So
Yes,
we'll
we have the
two
2-dial,
faces.
and we chose these numbers. There was a wide variety of selections for the numbers, and we have Town of Milton on the header, and incorporated 1662 on the saddle, and it's a 2-phase. It's Norwood has a
I hope you're not being
4-phase.
two-faced about this.
Norwood has a 4-phase clock, but we have a 2-phase clock, and with that forest green, and there are also going to be gold highlights on the writing of the
Kind of like
header.
Emma Jean's hair, gold highlight.
Gold highlights. That's right, Brian.
We'll actually get to see that in process. They're working on the highlighting right now, as I understand. So we'll see the actual clocks in the shop, which will be
Alright.
fun.
So here we are at the Electric Time Company in Medfield, Massachusetts, and I'm here with Emma Jean Moulton and Brandy Morris. And Brandy, what are we standing beside here? What is Emma Jean standing beside here?
This is her clock. One of two. The other one is a little further behind us. But this is the end of the process. These clocks have gone through the shop. They've started out as raw castings and gone through our whole process, and now they're being highlighted by hand. So let's start at the beginning. We'll show you how we got to this stage. Emma Jean, I've brought you over to our sheet metal fabrication area to show you what a casting looks like. So this post is the same as yours, but in its raw form. It comes this way from the foundry. These are green sand castings. So what they do is take wooden molds, press them into the green sand, remove the molds, pour the aluminum in.
Aluminum.
So these are cast aluminum. And
Where is the foundry?
we use about 6 different foundries. They're all in New England.
Oh, okay.
We have very strict standards for the castings, so they have to stay close so we can continually monitor them. We also are very fussy about the purity of the aluminum used, so we don't like to ship them anywhere that we can't monitor.
So what happens if it's a lower quality aluminum? What happens, what breaks down on these over time?
You know, these clocks are outdoors for a long time. You know, we want them to outlast you and I and be there for hundreds of years. If there were impurities in the metals, there could be corrosion or weathering that we wouldn't want to have happen.
Okay.
So it's strong. It doesn't rust.
Correct.
It can't be damaged by somebody coming along and hitting or what a car. We hope that it
Well, no,
car
some of those
doesn't-
Milton drivers might, take a whack at one of these someday.
We'll hope that no one hits it. How's that?
I hope they don't
yes.
clock the clock.
Right, exactly. Aluminum, if it is hit by a car, it can eventually crack, but it will bend first. If you had cast iron, that's much more fragile, and that would shatter
Oh, that's
compared to the
interesting.
aluminum is a stronger material.
And you repair them when they do get damaged?
And we do repair them if
And
they
you
get
do.
damaged, correct.
So basically, this is all one piece.
This is all one piece. The post is a single piece. This is one of its doors. It'll end up having a door machined to it. The doors are cast as well. We are making a 4-dial here, but yours were 2 dials. So you'll have the same sort of idea, a cast
this,
saddle, a
Mike? Can you
cast
see?
header.
And the design work is built right into the casting.
On this one, the design, correct, right. All the ornamentation is right in the molds.
But that's not the design. That
That's
we have
not
for the
that's not the
clock.
Milton specific design, and we'll get back to those green ones in a few minutes.
And then these aluminum, these are like the faces of the...
Correct.
where
The
glass
rings
goes.
that you see here are the bezels, and
That's
those
the
are
bezel.
the bezel, right? And just like on a watch, the front bezel is the front ring of the clock, and those are spun aluminum.
Spun aluminum. Okay.
Correct. So a few different manufacturing processes, but
Very
all
nice.
end up on the same
Is it
clock.
glass that goes in them, or is it like a plexiglass that you use?
Actually, we use tempered glass.
Oh, so it's stronger.
It's
so
strong and
shatterproof.
it's safe. If you were to break it, you would need a sharp object. Don't break the crystals. But if you do, they break into the safe kernels of glass rather than shards.
Shards. All right.
Correct.
Excellent. Very nice. Okay, Brandy, what do we have here?
This is the clock once it's done in our fabrication department. So we have the post. It's been machined for all of its pieces. The clock head has been fabricated and machined for all
Now,
of
this
its
clock
pieces.
head's similar to what we're getting in Milton, right? This one
Correct,
here?
right.
Okay.
This is a large 2-dial Howard.
And
so
what did Imogene call that? A two-faced cloth?
a two-face clock, yes. Two-face, 2-dial, it's all the same, all
Okay.
the same. So what we have is our adapter, which is the clock head. The saddle is attached to it, which you probably can't see from there, but you can see the header is upside down here. We have lettering, which is going to be fastened to the header. We have hardware set up that will all get painted to match the clock. We have inner retaining rings. We have our clock bezels. All the pieces needed. The post has had pieces added to the interior to hold the clock controller, which we'll see in a few minutes. These clocks are very accurate. Inside the post is a controller which will keep the two faces synchronized. It'll reset automatically for any daylight saving time changes.
No red dot?
No red dot. And for any power outages.
It resets automatically.
Resets automatically.
Yes, and I understand when we fall back to standard time that the clock resets, and if there is if there's any power outage, then it
Right.
automatically resets, and it is programmed to be with the GPS, so
Correct.
it doesn't lose any time.
Correct, right. The
Does that mean if
GPS will
someone
be on
steals the
top.
clock, we'll know where it is?
Well, actually, you probably could use it for that purpose. We track it down. Yes, the GPS will be on top of the clock header, and it'll receive the satellite feed at least one time per day. The satellites pass overhead, and will feed to the controller and correct the minutes if the minutes need to be corrected.
So you
you'll have
really could
absolute
disrupt the
accuracy.
whole world of time from this little place in Medfield.
Well, we try not to.
How long, what's the total process from start to finish? How long does it take?
This
On average.
portion would take probably about 40 hours.
The whole thing?
Oh, the whole clock?
Yeah, from design to shipping.
From design to shipping, we quote about 12 weeks. Manufacturing-wise, we probably use about 3.5 of those weeks.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now I've brought you to the paint shop. Here in our paint shop, we do all of our finishing work. This clock is a 4-dial, so it has 4 faces. You can see the 4 bezels here. I won't touch it because otherwise I'll end up being a whole new color. Once the clock has been highlighted, which is the gold paint that you see, we apply a clear coat. It's just an extra step. You can't see it, no one knows it's there, but it'll give a little extra protection outdoors. The clocks themselves receive a catalyzed polyurethane paint finish. So this is a multi-step process. It has its primers, its top coats. The gold painted highlighting is done by hand, and then the top coat on it. And this is the finished product.
And what's over there?
Behind us is the hand wall.
The hand wall.
The hand wall.
Okay.
When we cut hands or any item on our water jet, which we'll see in a few minutes, especially hands, we will cut the entire sheet of material. These are standard hand sizes and designs. We use them every day, so it pays manufacturing-wise to cut the whole sheet when we cut a pair of hands.
You said the gold paint is all put on by hand. Our Milton clock is not going to have gold leaf. It will just have the gold paint. But the gold leaf was quite a bit more expensive.
Yes, we do use real gold
She wants you
leaf.
to know she was a little disappointed that it was so much more expensive because we wanted it.
I'm disappointed that it's so much more expensive.
But
It's beautiful,
gold. It's
right?
supposed to be more expensive.
Right. And actually, the gold paint is done by hand as well. So both processes are a hand painted or hand leafed finish. The paint we offer, obviously, much less expensive than the gold leaf.
So I'm assuming that the reason that this clock stand is horizontal is because of the painting. Is the black paint put on by hand as well?
The black paint here on this post, this is a Seth Thomas post clock style, is sprayed. And it is on a rotisserie, for lack of a better word. The post is so large that in order for the painter to evenly spray it, he has to keep turning it as he's spraying it, and this makes it easier for our painter to get all 4 sides of it.
So this is a Seth Thomas design.
Correct, right. And Seth Thomas was a Connecticut clock manufacturing firm, and they also made a post clock design, and we make replicas of all of them.
Very nice.
So you just roll this into the big spraying booth and that's where he does it all.
Correct. Yep.
And our design is E.
E. Howard, right. And E. Howard was a Waltham clock manufacturer. And they were quite well known for their post clocks, tower clocks, even pocket watches.
Okay?
Now, what do we see hanging over there from little hooks?
Right. The painters, in order to evenly finish things, will quite frequently hang smaller parts. And what you see on those hooks are header plaques. They'll be on the top of the head for the Seth Thomas design. The Seth Thomas designs are traditionally much flowerier. They have much more intricate detail. Very scrolled header plaques, scrolls on the top, flowers on the sides. They're much more ornate than the Howard styles were. And those are the header plaques that you're seeing. Well, now I've brought you back to one of our favorite toys here. This is our water jet cutting machine. And Emma Jean, I'm going to have you show everybody these clock hands. The water jet uses high pressure water and sometimes some garnet, which is the little red sand you can see in the back, for abrasion. And uses that high pressure water to cut aluminum, steel, stainless steel, granite, whatever you'd like to cut. So these clock hands were actually made on the water jet, and so were yours. So the hands you'll see on your clock, the lettering at the top on the header, and the lettering on the saddle were all cut on the water jet.
So you just lay it right on this, there's some steel line.
Correct,
Just lay it,
right.
You put the steel right on top, and then this cuts it.
Yes, the steel
And the
slats
water
are.
keeps it cool, is that what it does?
Well, the water is used for cutting. So the steel slats are waste material, and they hold the sheet of material that you're cutting.
Okay.
The water in the tank is used to diffuse the water that's coming out of the cutter head. So,
So
you're not
there's not a
actually.
steel cutter, it's not being cut by a blade?
No, it's actually using water to cut.
It's that higher pressure than
That high pressure, correct.
You're kidding, it can cut steel
It can
With-
cut steel
with water?
with water.
What did you say? With
Right, with
rubies or
it garnet. It has some garnet sand in it, and that adds a little bit of an abrasive edge. It gives a nice clean finish to what you're cutting.
It doesn't leave any...
Doesn't leave any
Yeah.
burrs
Oh, I
or,
got you, okay.
anything sharp to cut you. And it can also cut intricate designs because it's using water. It won't burn it as the laser would.
I'm
or-
surprised how small it can cut.
it can cut even finer than those.
Really?
Very
Okay.
fine detail.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So there's a pattern somewhere in this machine that tells exactly what the design is that they're going to cut.
Correct. And we saw that back in the engineering department. The engineers will write the programs that will come out here to this machine and cut whatever part they want. It can cut pieces for a box. It can cut hands, letters, whatever is needed.
You're going to be probably moving to those 3D printers in the future.
We've looked at them. We've looked at them.
That'd be interesting, huh?
Yes, this is one of the very few water jets in New England that has the multiple axis version that
What's a
ours
machine like
is.
this cost?
A lot.
A lot. Wow. Very nice. Very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So here we are making clock movements. This is what is inside the clock that really matters. Electric Time makes all of its own clock movements and control equipment as well. The 2-dial Howard features our B28 movement. You'll see motors on the back, the gearing inside, a couple of plates. This is a little test movement, so it just has test hands. But here they're making movements. This process is all done by hand. The gearing goes into it, different plates, vanes with gears, you name it, all the parts are here. Lots of different pieces, and it'll all end up looking like this when it's done. Of course, you'll never see this. It's inside the clock head. There's 2 of them, 1 for each face, but that's probably the most important piece that this clock will hold. In the post of the post clock, behind that door, will be our 99B MI clock controller. So this is the clock controller that will actually keep those 2 faces on time, reset for any power outages or daylight saving time changes, keep Milton on time.
Okay, folks, so I'm over here with Scott, and Scott, you're working on the header, is that correct?
Yes.
And you're painting some gold leaf, is that what you're doing here?
Well, actually, it's not gold leaf. It's just it's a gold paint. It's
What's the difference between gold leaf and gold paint?
a leaf is an actual metallic. That's you put down an adhesive, and then you apply the metal on top of it. The paint is just the color in suspension, and then you apply it, and it dries, and this color in suspension stays.
Well, it looks very nice.
Oh, thank you.
And so you realize you are working on the Milton header right here.
Well, I know, and if I do a bad job, I'm going to be hearing about it from friends and family.
It looks like you slipped over here, look. Just
Hey,
kidding.
come on. If I want to be treated like this, I can go home.
How long have you been at Electric Time?
23 years?
You think you know what you're doing yet?
Oh, heck no. No. When you're sure you know what you're doing, then
You're
you
in
don't.
trouble.
Then
You're in
you
trouble.
don't. Yeah.
Well, we're excited to have these back in Milton and on location. And matter of fact, Emma Jean, come over here. You need to meet Emma Jean because Emma Jean is the reason that you're working on this clock today. Emma Jean's with the 350th Anniversary
Pleased to meet you.
Committee.
Very pleased to meet you. It's wonderful to see you working on this clock. And I'll always think of you with your paintbrush in hand as you're
Well, this is
putting on the gold.
Nobody believes me, but this is the best job in the place.
And why do you say that?
Other people grind things and weld things and make things, but I get to paint them.
That's very nice.
You must be very patient
Well,
and a steady hand.
no coffee.
No, no coffee.
No coffee.
No coffee.
If you have this to do,
I see little places where the town of Milton letters, you're
Yes.
going to put those on individually and paint them?
well, they're painted. They're painted now, and what will happen is they have on the back, and there are holes that are drilled for studs that screw in, and the letter will go down, and typically each letter gets 2 holes. So there'll be 2 holes, and there'll be nuts on the back that'll hold the letter on, so they can't fall off, or because.
Mike, can you see the holes over here, Mike? That's Mike Lynch from Milton Cable. Great
Oh.
guy.
Mike,
Okay, so this is fascinating. So what did you paint those in the spray booths or something?
It's much faster to, rather than do each letter individually, you could put them on and then do them. Sometimes if we have a complex clock and somebody wants it repainted, we'll do that because it's a nuisance to disassemble in sight.
And you could create more issues by taking
Yes.
it apart.
And we hope it goes back together. But with the new stuff, it's much easier just to spray them in the booth, and you have much better control there, and then add them later.
Well, very nice. You're doing a great job.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clocks.
You're welcome.
My pleasure.
Oh, what do we have, Brandy? Brandy's bringing something over. Okay, wait. Is this the unveiling here?
The unveiling of the official 3.
Oh, wow. Look at that, huh? What a country.
So those are your clock dials.
Oh,
Emma
it's
Jean, what do you think?
beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes. So we're going to have Town of Milton on top and 1662 on the bottom. That's fantastic.
Man, oh, man.
And our little hands.
Correct. Yeah. Excellent.
It's very, very nice. All right. Hey, we got a perfect day. It was great.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Emma Jean and Brian, one of the most important things inside of your clock, in addition to the clock movement, is the lighting. We now use LED bulbs, long-lasting, very energy efficient, and will give a nice warm glow to your clock. And
What did you use before the LEDs?
We've used neon. We
Neon.
still do use some neon.
Do you make those here?
No, we actually have them custom blown for us in Rhode Island.
Really?
Yeah, it's an art. It's an art. Neon is an art. And we do provide the patterns, and then they make it to our specifications.
Now, so I would think the LEDs, what do you think some of the advantages of the LEDs are?
Well, definitely energy efficient and long lasting.
Long lasting.
The idea is to make the clock as user friendly as possible.
Now, this is a 4-phase clock, and I see a lot of bulbs. In a 2-phase clock, how many bulbs would there be?
Good question. Probably around 8 or so. You'll find that they're radially mounted, so they're mounted
But you
around
can
the
see it
outer
here, right.
perimeter.
You have like 4 around each face, it looks like.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's definitely a science to be able to properly backlight a dial without shadowing.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see that they're mounted around the outer perimeter of the adapter.
Is there a paint on the dials themselves that make them reflective so that it can be seen easier?
The dials are actually a translucent milky white acrylic material. The
No, I mean the,
inside of the adapter
arms.
or the header
Yeah.
will have a reflective white finish, which you can see here, so that the light is reflected and will illuminate more evenly. The hands themselves
that's what I
do
meant,
not
yeah.
have any finish on them other than a painted finish. The reflective material wouldn't stand up outdoors.
And because it's lit properly from behind, you see them better.
Backlit, you will see the hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now over here behind this, so this is your test area, you say?
This is our test area.
So you have some other clocks around here. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Correct. Well, the clock that we were looking at is actually a post clock as well. That's one of our Seth Thomas styles, and there's another one right behind it, its sister. They are both shipping out to Seoul, South Korea. We do a lot of international work as well. And we have another style. The Seoul clocks are Seth Thomas replicas.
What are those big giant ones over there?
The giant ones in back are actually going to Chestnut Hill. They're for the new Wegmans store, so they'll stay local. It's nice to have some of the kids stay around, mom and dad. And
You go quite close to your clocks, don't
I
you?
do. We're very fond of them. We visit them often.
You're passionate about clocks, aren't you?
We are. We'll be in Milton at some point. The clock with the bank logo here is going to Tennessee, and that's a McClintock style replica, and that will actually be a corner-mounted clock, so it will be mounted to the corner of the bank.
What's the most unusual clock you've ever had to create?
Oh, we've done them in shapes of giant tomatoes.
Really?
Really?
All right.
We've done electric cord and computer mouse clocks for computer stores. We've done frog clocks for a children's museum. So interesting,
What's the largest clock?
Largest probably, we did a 30-foot clock for Anheuser-Busch for one of their
A
factories.
30-foot clock?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you been involved with the clock business?
A long time.
A long time. Are you the first in your family or previous generations?
Actually, first in my family. My husband's family purchased the company back in the late 60s. And we've been working together here since the mid-'80s.
See what he got you involved in?
It's all his fault.
Well, folks, we've been talking with Brandy Morris here at the Electric Time Company in Medfield, Massachusetts, and we were just so impressed that these clocks were being made here in Massachusetts that we decided we wanted to come down and see the process, learn a little bit more about it, because we wanted the viewers of Milton to appreciate the clock even more than just the aesthetic beauty of it, to realize that this didn't just come off the boat, that there were Massachusetts craftsmen working on it.
Correct.
And it's nice to see an owner in Massachusetts that's making it in Massachusetts, and that hopefully will give hope to other people that are thinking of going in business for themselves and in creating some stuff. So we can compete on a global basis here in Massachusetts.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so very much for inviting us down to your factory. It's been a pleasure. It's been very exciting. Emma Jean, thank you for putting us in touch with Brandy, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
And thank you, the Community of Milton, for supporting the 350th Anniversary Committee. It allowed us to have some of the capital available so that we could invest in these clocks for generations to come. So again, thank you all for watching Talking to the Town. My name is Brian Kelly, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.